watch, here is a car. The windshield shattered from the inside, yet not a drop of blood inside the cabin. On the steering wheel, a trace of someone else's lipstick. The owner, an 18-year-old young man, vanished the previous night. His colleague, the only witness, was with him. But he lies. Every version he gives is a fabrication, contradicted by the facts. He refuses a polygraph and falls silent. So here is the question. If all the evidence screams one story and the only witness tells a completely different one, who do you believe? And what truly happened in that car in the moments before Zeb vanished forever? At the start of the year 2000, Asheville was a typical American town nestled in the foothills, with a population of about 70,000. The town was known for its art galleries, music festivals, and scenic mountain landscapes that attracted tourists from across the southeastern United States. For local youth, Asheville was a place where everyone knew each other, scandals quickly became public knowledge, and crimes were rare. The violent crime rate was 40% below the national average, making the town a safe place to raise children. Asheville's economy thrived on tourism, healthcare, and light industry. Most young people either went to local colleges, took jobs in service industries, or moved to bigger cities seeking better opportunities. The social structure was typical for a small southern town. Established families, many living there for generations, conservative values, strong religious traditions, and close-knit neighborhoods. In the late 1990s, the internet was just beginning to enter everyday life. Mobile phones were rare among teenagers, and local newspapers and television were the main sources of information. Robert and Denise Quinn moved to Asheville in the mid-1980s from Florida, seeking a quieter environment to raise their children. Robert worked as an engineer at a local construction company. Denise was a housewife who also did bookkeeping on the side. The family was regarded as exemplary in their neighborhood. The Quinns were active in the local Baptist church, upheld traditional family values, and had no legal or neighbor problems. They had 3 children. The eldest, Natalia, was already in college by 2000, the middle son, Zeb, and the youngest daughter, Erin. The family lived in a modest 2-story house in a quiet suburb on the outskirts of town. Their financial situation was stable, but not wealthy. Robert earned enough to support the family, but major expenses, such as college tuition, required planning and saving. Neighbors described the Quinns as good people, polite, reliable, and ready to help in times of need. The children were raised with discipline, but without excessive strictness. Zebulon Quinn, known to everyone as Zeb, was born on January 18, 1982. By the year 2000, he was 18 and a typical American teenager for his time. Physically, he was average height, about 175 centimeters, slim, with chestnut hair and brown eyes. Classmates described him as an ordinary guy, neither particularly attractive nor ugly. His character was calm and friendly. Teachers noted he was a diligent but not outstanding student. He mostly earned good grades, especially in the sciences, but was not among the top of his class. At school, Zeb did not participate in sports teams or theater clubs, preferring to spend time with a small group of close friends. He was interested in cars, computer games, and movies, typical teenage hobbies at the time. His friends considered him reliable and someone who always kept his promises. He never used drugs, rarely drank alcohol, and had no disciplinary problems. By the end of 1999, Zeb was preparing to graduate from Owen High School. His academic record was sufficient for admission to a local community college, which was the plan with his family. He showed interest in computer technology, a rapidly growing field promising good career prospects. He was self-taught in programming, using library books, and dreamed of working in IT. The family could not afford tuition at a prestigious 4-year university, so the plan was for Zeb to spend 2 years at community college and then transfer to a state university. To save money for tuition, Zeb took a part-time job at a fast food restaurant. He planned to work part-time during school and full-time in the summer. He had no serious romantic relationships, though he occasionally dated girls from school. His parents considered this normal for his age and were not worried. In November 1999, Zeb started working at Volvo Drive, a fast food restaurant on Merman Avenue, a popular spot in Asheville serving hamburgers, hot dogs, and milkshakes. The restaurant was a family business dating back to the 50s and was known for good food and friendly service. The owners preferred to hire local teenagers they knew personally or through recommendations. Zeb worked as a waiter, taking orders from drivers in the parking lot. The job required politeness, speed, and teamwork. Colleagues said Zeb handled his duties well and was popular among regular customers. His pay was minimum wage plus tips, giving him about $200 a week, good money for a teenager in a small town. Most of his earnings he saved for college. The restaurant manager, Teresa Ferguson, described Zeb as punctual, honest, and helpful to colleagues. In 2 months of work, he never received a complaint. Working at the restaurant expanded Zeb's social circle. He made friends with other young employees and sometimes spent time with them after work, but never participated in parties with alcohol or questionable activities. Despite his job and studies, Zeb found time for friends and hobbies. His closest friends were childhood classmates Jason Owens and Michael Harrison. The three often spent time together playing video games, watching movies, or just talking. They dreamed of buying cars, discussed college plans, and built future goals. Zeb was passionate about cars and dreamed of buying his own. He read car magazines, knew various model specs, and saved for a used car. Another interest was computers. The family had an old computer at home where Zeb learned programming. He dreamed of a modern computer and internet access. His music taste was typical for late 90s teens, rock, alternative, popular music. Though he didn't play instruments, he enjoyed listening to music and occasionally attended local band concerts. Zeb's relationship with his parents was warm, but had typical teenage conflicts. Sometimes he argued about curfew or time spent with friends. Robert Quinn was strict but fair, demanding good grades, helping with chores, and following family rules. Zeb generally met these expectations, though he sometimes grumbled. Denise was softer, but supported her husband's authority. She worried about the children's safety and always wanted to know where they were. Sibling relationships were typical. Zeb communicated less with older sister Natalia, who was away at college and was closer to younger sister Erin. The family regularly attended church. Zeb participated in religious life, but was not particularly devout. The parents considered religious upbringing an important part of character formation. Analysis of Zeb's life before his disappearance revealed no signs foreshadowing tragedy. He was an ordinary teenager from a stable family with no serious problems. No debts, drug or alcohol issues, nor conflicts with the law or criminals. Academic performance was stable and work was satisfying. There were no signs of depression or other mental issues. Friends and family described him as optimistic and eager for the future. Family life was normal for a middle-class American family. Though occasional disagreements occurred, serious conflicts did not. Zeb had no enemies among peers or adults. Teachers, co-workers, and neighbors spoke positively of him. The only minor issue was the family's limited finances, which motivated Zeb to work harder rather than stress him. January 2nd, 2000, was a Sunday. Asheville, like the rest of the world, was recovering from the new millennium celebrations. Y2K fears had proven exaggerated. Computers were still working, electricity stayed on, and planes did not crash. For most residents, it was a regular day off between the holidays and returning to work and school. Many families spent time at home recovering and preparing to resume their normal routines. The weather that day was typical for January in western North Carolina. Cool, around 5 degrees Celsius, cloudy but without precipitation. Roads were dry and visibility was good. No factors that might make driving dangerous. The Volvo Drive restaurant operated a shortened schedule as usual on Sundays. Many staff were off, so only the most reliable and experienced worked. Zeb woke at 9 in his parents' house on Gwynn Street. This was his usual weekend wake time without school or early work. At breakfast, the family discussed plans. The parents planned to visit relatives, the youngest sister Erin to meet friends. Zeb said he would work in the afternoon. Denise later recalled Zeb looked normal, neither upset nor anxious. He ate breakfast, watched TV, and interacted with family. Around noon, he showered and dressed for work, dark jeans, polo shirt, sneakers. He took keys to his car, a white 1982 Mazda 626, bought with his savings a few months earlier. The car was his pride, though not new and requiring upkeep. It gave him independence and a way to get to work without parents. Before leaving, he kissed his mother and said he would return by 11 p.m. after his shift, his usual Sunday return time. Zeb arrived at Volvo Drive around 1:30 p.m., 30 minutes before his shift. He liked to come early to prepare and chat with co-workers. That day, the manager, Teresa Ferguson, cook Robert Johnson, and two other waiters, Timlin and Rowan Davis, were working. It was a usual Sunday shift with moderate customer flow. Rowan Davis, a 25-year-old, had worked there about a year. Older than most staff, he had a reputation for storytelling and sometimes exaggerating. Zeb and Rowan worked together for months, but were not close friends. Their relations were limited to work talk, though they joked and chatted during breaks. The shift passed quietly. Sundays were usually not very busy, allowing relaxed work and more socializing. At 6 p.m., Rowan told Zeb about a used car his acquaintance wanted to sell. According to Rowan, it was a good deal, a reliable vehicle at a reasonable price. Rowan claimed his acquaintance was selling a 1991 Pontiac Grand for $3,000. The car was supposedly in good condition and priced well below market. Zeb showed interest. Although he had a car, he considered buying a newer one and selling or keeping his Mazda as a spare. Rowan suggested going to see the car after work. The owner lived about 30 minutes from Asheville in the countryside and was willing to show the car late. Manager Teresa Ferguson later confirmed hearing the conversation. She noted Zeb appeared interested but not overly excited. Other staff remembered the talk but paid little attention, as car talk was common among young employees. Zeb said he would think about it during the shift and give an answer before closing. Evening work hours passed without incident. Customer flow was normal for a Sunday. Several families with children, teenagers returning from events. Zeb performed duties as usual, taking orders, delivering food, cleaning tables. Colleagues noticed no changes in his behavior or mood. At 8 p.m., Zeb finally decided to go see the car with Rowan. He told Teresa Ferguson, asking permission to leave right after closing. The manager granted it, but warned about driving carefully late at night, especially with many people still celebrating New Year. At 8:30 p.m., Zeb called home, informing parents of his plans. He told his mother he would go with a coworker to see a used car and might return later than usual. Denise Quinn was not worried. Zeb was responsible and always kept parents informed. Volvo Drive closed at 9 p.m. according to Sunday schedule. Staff took part in usual closing, cleaning, washing dishes, counting cash, turning off equipment. Zeb and Rowan finished early and got permission to leave about 9:45. They said goodbye to co-workers and drove out of the parking lot. Two cars remained at the lot, Zeb's white Mazda 626 and Rowan's Toyota. They agreed to drive Zeb's car, as it was more reliable for rural roads. Teresa Ferguson saw the young men get into Zeb's car and head west around 9:45. This was the last time co-workers saw Zeb. Rowan's car stayed at the restaurant. Their plan was to inspect the car and return to the restaurant. Rowan would pick up his car and each would go home. According to Rowan, the car to be sold was in the Canyon Creek area, about 25 miles west of Asheville, a rural area with winding mountain roads. The planned route was along Highway 191 west, then local roads to the seller's house. Under normal conditions, the trip should take about 40 minutes one way. Rowan told Zeb the owner would be waiting to show the car even late in the evening. Zeb took about $200 in cash, saved over weeks of work. He planned to put down a deposit and negotiate purchase if the car was good. He also had a driver's license, insurance documents for his car, and a mobile phone, one of the few teenagers in Asheville then with a cell phone. Before leaving work, Zeb talked to several people about his evening plans. These conversations later became key testimonies for event reconstruction. He called best friend Jason Owens and told him about the car opportunity. Jason recalled Zeb sounded normal and showed no signs of worry. Zeb also mentioned the trip to coworker Timlin, who remembered him saying, "Going to see a car with Rowan. If it's good, maybe I'll buy it." None of the people Zeb spoke to that evening noticed anything unusual in his behavior or plans. The last call home was at 8:30 p.m. Zeb told his mother he might be late, possibly until 11:30 p.m. Denise asked him to be careful and call if plans changed. Zeb promised and said, "I love you." It was their usual conversation end. Witnesses agreed Zeb looked and acted completely normal that day. No signs of depression, anxiety, fear, or strange emotional states. He joked with coworkers, worked normally, and was enthusiastic about buying a car. Manager Teresa Ferguson noted Zeb seemed happier than usual, perhaps because of the car prospect. Rowan Davis also appeared normal, but more talkative, sharing the car's merits. The restaurant atmosphere was calm and friendly. No conflicts, strange customers, or incidents occurred. The weather on January 2nd was stable, about 3 degrees Celsius, no precipitation, light wind, and good visibility. Roads were dry and safe for driving. Traffic was light as most people stayed home preparing for the upcoming work week. Police reported no traffic accidents or dangerous conditions. Highway 191, their planned road, was well known locally. It connected Asheville to western rural counties. Although winding due to mountainous terrain, it was in good condition with proper markings. Driving at speed limits posed no special danger. Cell signal was spotty, but not absent. Most spots near main roads had enough signal for calls. At 9:15 p.m., Zeb's white Mazda 626 left the Volvo Drive parking lot heading west. Zeb was driving, Rowan was passenger, guiding to the seller's house. Surveillance cameras were rare in 2000, so no records of departure survived. Last witnesses were restaurant staff who saw the car through windows. According to Rowan's police testimony, the first part of the trip was normal. They discussed the seller's car specs and planned for a possible purchase. The route was to follow Merman Avenue to Highway 191, then west through Asheville suburbs towards the countryside. The total distance was about 25 miles. At normal speed, the trip would take about 40 to 45 minutes. Rowan claimed to know the route well, having been to the seller several times. Zeb was in good spirits, showed keen interest in the car's mileage, engine condition, and reasons for sale. Rowan's initial police statement described the evening events as follows. About 20 minutes after leaving the restaurant, his pager went off. In the late 90s, pagers were common for people who could not afford cell phones. Rowan said the pager displayed an urgent number. He asked Zeb to stop at the nearest payphone so he could call. They found a payphone by a gas station on Highway 191. Rowan left the car to make the call. He said the call concerned a family emergency. His aunt was hospitalized, and family needed him urgently. The situation was serious, so he said he could not continue the trip. Rowan claimed to have explained the situation to Zeb and asked to postpone car inspection. However, Zeb, he said, decided to go alone, confident he could find the place using directions. Rowan stated he gave Zeb detailed instructions and the seller's phone number. After that, Zeb allegedly dropped him at the gas station and drove off alone. A detailed investigation of Rowan's story revealed several serious inconsistencies and contradictions that made authorities doubt his truthfulness. Phone company records showed no calls from payphones in the area at the stated time. If Rowan called, no record remained. Secondly, it was found Rowan had no aunt hospitalized that day. Hospitals in the area had no record of anyone with his surname. Thirdly, the gas station Rowan mentioned had surveillance cameras. Checking footage showed no Rowan or Zeb's Mazda at the time claimed. Fourth, Rowan could not explain how he got home after being dropped off. His car remained at the restaurant parking. Public transport was not running at that hour. Also, colleagues noted Rowan did not carry a pager to work, and no one recalled him having such a device. When police confronted Rowan with contradictions, he changed his story. In the second version, the trip went well, until they encountered a deer on a rural road. The deer rushed onto the road about 20 miles from Asheville. Zeb tried to avoid collision, but could not. The impact was minor, but damaged the car's front, dented hood, and cracked headlight. The engine ran, but the car looked damaged. Zeb was upset about the car damage and decided to return home to inform his parents. The car inspection was postponed. Rowan said they turned back toward Asheville. However, on the way, Zeb received a mobile phone call that changed his behavior. Rowan said he could not hear the call content but noticed Zeb became nervous and agitated. After the call, Zeb said he needed to go somewhere and asked Rowan to leave the car. This second story also conflicted with physical evidence and other witness accounts. The main issue was the condition of Zeb's car found the next morning. The vehicle had no damage consistent with a deer collision. Hood, headlights, and bumper were intact. Furthermore, phone company records showed no incoming calls to Zeb's phone at the stated time. If the call occurred, no technical trace remained. Rowan again could not explain how he got home after Zeb supposedly dropped him off. His account of the drop-off location was vague and changed under questioning. Police inspected roads in the area for signs of a deer collision and found none. No blood, fur, or other evidence. Faced with these contradictions, Rowan changed his statement a third time. In the third version, they encountered a stranger hitchhiking on the road. Zeb stopped to help, although Rowan felt uneasy and asked him not to pick up the man. The stranger was a middle-aged man in dark clothing, claiming his car had broken down. Rowan said he felt uncomfortable and argued with Zeb over helping the stranger. Eventually, Zeb asked Rowan to get out, saying he could handle it. Rowan reluctantly agreed and left the car. Zeb drove off with the stranger, while Rowan stayed on the road and eventually got a ride back to Asheville. This third version was less believable than the previous ones. It contained many logical inconsistencies and contradicted what was known about Zeb's character. Friends and family stated Zeb was cautious and never picked up strangers. His parents had raised him to understand the dangers of such actions. Also, Rowan could not describe the stranger's appearance in detail or remember the broken car's model or the exact meeting place. His story about getting a ride home was also doubtful, as rural roads had little traffic late at night, making hitchhiking unlikely. Police checked hospitals and morgues for unknown men, possibly linked to Zeb's disappearance, but found none. Detectives noted Rowan's nervous behavior and constant changes in testimonies. He avoided eye contact, paused before answers, seemingly making details up. His body language showed stress and attempts to hide information. Especially suspicious was Rowan's habit of altering key story details when faced with contradictions. This behavior was unlike someone who simply forgot events. Police suggested a lie detector test, which Rowan refused, citing his lawyer's advice. Legally, he had this right, but the refusal increased suspicion. Moreover, Rowan showed less concern for Zeb's fate than expected. His behavior resembled avoiding trouble more than sincere worry. Police tried finding independent ways to verify Rowan's statements, but faced difficulties. Events took place in a rural area with minimal witnesses and surveillance. Detectives drove all possible routes the young men could have taken, questioned roadside residents, and checked gas stations and stores. Several people recalled a white Mazda similar to Zeb's on Highway 191 that evening, but could not recall the exact time or number of passengers. One witness said they saw a car like Zeb's stop at the roadside about 10 p.m., but could not see what happened. Another heard sounds of a fight or loud talking in nearby woods, but did not see people or exact time. These testimonies were too vague to confirm or deny Rowan's versions. Analysis of Rowan's contradictory testimonies led investigators to propose several theories about his role in Zeb Quinn's disappearance. One theory suggested Rowan witnessed a crime against Zeb, but feared telling the truth due to safety or illegal involvement. Another considered he might have been an accomplice in kidnapping or murder, not the main perpetrator. His false statements could be an attempt to hide involvement. A third theory proposed Rowan himself attacked Zeb, possibly during a robbery or sudden conflict. Multiple versions could be attempts to mislead investigation. A fourth proposed Rowan knew of plans to harm Zeb and lured him under the pretense of buying a car. None of these theories were proven due to lack of direct evidence and Rowan's refusal to cooperate. By late January 2000, Rowan Davis became the prime suspect in Zeb Quinn's case. His shifting testimonies and inability to confirm his stories made him highly suspicious. Police obtained search warrants for his home and car, but found no direct evidence linking him to Zeb's disappearance. No traces of blood, Zeb's belongings, or other clues were found. Rowan hired a lawyer and stopped giving police statements. His lawyer claimed Rowan was a scapegoat for police unable to find the real culprit. Despite suspicion, police could not charge him due to insufficient evidence. The case remained open, and the key witness of Zeb's last hours remained silent. Rowan continued living in Asheville, but his reputation was damaged. Many townspeople believed him responsible for Zeb's disappearance, though legally he was not accused. Rowan Davis's story and contradictory testimonies became the central mystery of Zeb Quinn's case. Why did he keep changing his story? What really happened that night? These questions remain unanswered, turning Zeb's last hours into one of modern forensic science's most baffling mysteries. By 11 p.m. on January 2nd, Zeb's parents grew worried. Denise Quinn testified he promised to be home by then or call if plans changed. Attempts to reach Zeb on his cell phone failed. Calls went to voicemail, which was unusual. Since Zeb usually answered his parents, Denise tried contacting Volvo Drive, but the restaurant was closed. Calls to Zeb's friends also yielded no information on his whereabouts. At midnight, Robert Quinn started searching, driving main Asheville roads and checking several 24-hour venues where youth usually gathered. The search yielded no results. By 1 a.m., parents considered calling police, but decided to wait till morning, hoping Zeb would come home with an explanation. At 7:30 a.m. on January 3rd, Mission Memorial Hospital security guard James Thompson found a white Mazda 626 in the staff parking lot. The car was parked at an angle, occupying 1.5 spaces. Thompson noted the windshield was broken. The damage suggested it was shattered from inside, with glass fragments scattered on the hood and ground. He recorded the license plate and reported the find to hospital administration. Checking revealed the car's owner was not registered as a patient or visitor. Hospital administration contacted Asheville police to investigate the damaged car on hospital grounds. Arrival time was established by surveillance footage. The white sedan matching Zeb's car entered the hospital at 1:30 a.m. Patrol Officer David Martinez inspected the vehicle at 9 a.m. Initial examination showed several unusual details. The windshield was broken by multiple impacts from inside. Damage suggested strong force or a heavy object. No blood traces were found on glass or shards, contradicting expected results from breaking glass with hands or head. A reddish stain on the steering wheel, preliminarily, matched Revlon fire red lipstick. The car radio was tuned to an AM station playing religious programs. Family said Zeb preferred rock music and did not listen to religious broadcasts. Zeb's personal belongings, wallet, phone, documents, were missing from the car. The interior was completely cleared of personal items. Crime scene investigators conducted detailed parking lot examination for additional evidence. The hospital had multiple lots for different visitors. Zeb's car was found in the staff parking lot in a less visible area. Surveillance coverage was limited. The main camera captured entrance but not specific parking spots. Video confirmed arrival of the white sedan consistent with Zeb's car at 1:30 a.m. Poor night lighting and recording quality made it impossible to identify occupants or number of people. Several objects were found on the asphalt nearby: a Velcro strip from sports shoes, a cigarette butt, and a fragment of dark fabric. All items were collected for lab analysis. Tire tread marks indicated the car arrived at high speed and braked sharply, suggesting haste or panic by the driver. Hospital night shift staff provided potentially important observations. Emergency nurse Patricia Henderson reported seeing a person in light clothing near the white car around 2 a.m. She described the figure as moving strangely. Orderly Robert Johnson heard glass-breaking sounds around 2:04, but did not think much, assuming a bottle or window damaged accidentally. Night guard Marcus Williams reported unusual sounds from the parking lot around 2 a.m. He heard muffled cries or moans, but upon checking found no source. Paramedic Dr. Susan Lee observed a dark car leaving the parking lot at 2:15. The vehicle departed at high speed, but make and plate were unknown. These testimonies created a timeline, but did not clarify circumstances of Zeb's car appearance at the hospital lot. A detailed forensic examination of Zeb's car revealed key information about possible events inside. Glass shards confirmed the windshield was broken from inside by multiple blows. Damage suggested use of a blunt object or fists. Absence of blood was considered unusual. The expert concluded that either blows were delivered with protective gloves or an object preventing direct skin contact was used. Fingerprint analysis identified prints belonging to Zeb and several unidentified individuals on various car surfaces. The lipstick stain on the steering wheel was confirmed as Revlon Fire Red, a cosmetic brand unlikely worn by Zeb's acquaintances. Fabric fibers found at the parking lot did not match clothing worn by Zeb that day. Analysis showed the fibers belonged to a dark wool coat. Sports Velcro strip matched Nike size 43 shoes, while Zeb wore Adidas size 41. Police thoroughly checked for any links between Quinn family and hospital staff. Medical records showed neither Zeb nor family members had treatments at the hospital. No acquaintances among hospital employees. Review of emergency room patient records on the night of January 2nd to 3rd showed 7 admissions, none matching Zeb or related cases. An unusual clue emerged when the county morgue received an anonymous phone call. The caller asked if any young men with head injuries had recently been admitted, but immediately hung up when asked to identify himself. Investigators later traced the call to a payphone in downtown Asheville, which made it impossible to link to a specific individual. This led detectives to suspect that someone was watching for Zeb Quinn and checking whether he had been hospitalized with injuries. On January 4, 2000, Rowan Davis was summoned to the Asheville Police Department to provide an official statement regarding the disappearance of Zeb Quinn. The interview was conducted by Detective John Daly in the presence of a stenographer. Rowan arrived without legal counsel, but accompanied by his uncle, Thomas Davis. According to the police record, Rowan appeared visibly nervous and emotionally strained. The interview began at 2 o'clock in the afternoon and was fully recorded on tape with Rowan's consent. This recording became a key exhibit, preserving his first official version of events. In that first statement, Rowan described in detail their meeting at the Volvo drive-in, the plan to inspect a vehicle, and the circumstances of leaving with Zeb around 8 o'clock in the evening. The central element of his original account was a claim that his pager went off during the drive, forcing him to return home suddenly due to a family emergency. He stated that Zeb stopped at a Shell gas station so he could call a relative from a payphone. Detective Daly immediately ordered a technical review of this paging story. Records from the service provider showed no incoming messages to Rowan's device at the stated time. Telephone logs revealed no calls placed from Shell payphones between 9:30 and 10:30 that night. The phone number Rowan provided for his supposed relative was found not to exist, and no medical facilities in the area reported admissions matching the emergency he described. Surveillance footage from the Shell station showed no trace of Rowan's white Mazda or his presence there. Co-workers later confirmed that they had never once seen Rowan with a pager while working at the restaurant. On January 7th, Detective Daly conducted a second interrogation of Rowan Davis, confronting him with these contradictions. Under pressure, Rowan abandoned the pager story, blaming memory lapses on stress. Instead, he offered a new account. During the drive, their car allegedly struck a deer on a rural road just outside the seller's neighborhood. According to Rowan, the collision damaged the front of Zeb's Mazda, upsetting him so much that he decided to return home and inform his parents. Rowan further claimed that during the drive back, Zeb received a phone call that drastically changed his demeanor. Zeb suddenly became anxious and asked Rowan to leave the car, saying he had urgent matters to attend to. A detailed forensic examination of Zeb's Mazda 626, however, completely disproved this account. The hood, bumper, headlights, and radiator grille showed no trace of damage consistent with a collision with a large animal. Insurance company experts confirmed that Zeb Quinn's car showed no signs of impact with an animal on any exterior surface. Cellular records revealed no incoming calls to Zeb's phone during the time frame mentioned by Rowan Davis. Technical logs from the mobile provider showed no trace of such a communication. A search of the alleged accident site uncovered no physical evidence, no blood, no animal fur, and no signs of road damage. When pressed, Rowan was unable to give a convincing explanation of how he returned home after supposedly being left behind in a rural area by Zeb. On January 10th, Detective Daly conducted a third interrogation. This time, Rowan presented yet another story, one that was entirely different from the previous two. In his new version, he claimed that while driving, he and Zeb encountered a man standing by the roadside, appearing to hitchhike. According to his statement, the stranger explained that his own vehicle had broken down and asked for a ride to the nearest town. Rowan stated that Zeb insisted on helping the man, despite his own objections. An argument broke out between the two friends about the safety of picking up a stranger. Rowan claimed that Zeb ordered him out of the car, forcing him to walk away reluctantly. He later said he returned home by catching a ride from passing motorists, while Zeb drove off into the night with the unknown passenger. A comparison of Rowan Davis's three versions revealed fundamental contradictions across every major detail. In the first account, the interruption was caused by a family emergency. In the second, it was a car accident involving a deer. In the third, it was a roadside stranger. The location of Rowan's supposed drop-off also shifted inconsistently, from a gas station to an undefined spot along a country road. Zeb's car was described differently in each version, at times undamaged, at other moments dented from a collision that forensic experts proved never happened. Rowan's explanation of how he returned home remained inconsistent and unverifiable throughout every telling. Even the timing of events varied without any logical explanation. Detective Daly meticulously documented Rowan's behavior during each interview. The notes describe his frequent avoidance of direct eye contact, long pauses before answering simple questions, visible nervousness shown through trembling hands and finger tapping. A clear pattern emerged. Whenever confronted with contradictions, Rowan would alter his story rather than acknowledge mistakes or lapses in memory. What stood out most was his lack of genuine emotional response to his colleague's disappearance. Instead of concern for Zeb Quinn's fate, Rowan seemed far more anxious about his own standing with the police. Speech pattern analysis further highlighted evasive phrasing and hedging language, often associated with attempts to conceal information. After the third interrogation, Rowan Davis hired an attorney and ended all voluntary cooperation with the police. His lawyer, Kevin McDonald, stated that his client had become the target of unfounded suspicion and would not provide further testimony unless formally charged. McDonald argued that the contradictions in Rowan's statements were the result of psychological stress over his colleague's disappearance, combined with relentless police pressure. According to him, Rowan was being used as a scapegoat by investigators who had failed to identify the real perpetrator. The police offered Rowan the chance to take a polygraph test in order to verify his statements, but his attorney refused, citing constitutional rights and expressing distrust in the accuracy of lie detection technology. Rowan also declined to participate in a police reenactment of the events, which would have retraced the route of the alleged trip and the supposed locations of key incidents. From that moment on, obtaining additional information from the only known witness to the last hours of Zeb Quinn's life became impossible without formal legal action. Thank you for watching.